Alright boys, we're here to talk about the new Pokemon. I did not expect to make this video, but I am eerily excited for these brand new Pokemon, a lot more excited than I thought I would be. And we're going to talk about all 7, 8, I don't know. There's a couple of them. We're gonna talk about them today. All right. If you want this doc that has all the stuff on it, shout out to Roy Daddio. It will be down in the description below. The first Pokemon we're gonna talk about is the Pokemon that coming into this I was easily the most excited for, and that is gonna be Arcaladon. Arcaladon's stats went up to 600, which is a bigger boost than I think most people anticipated, but its stat spread is still not ideal as to what I wanted it. At least I'm greedy. I'm sure it's on screen, but we got 90 HP, 105 attack, 130 defense, 125 special attack, 65 speed def, and 85 speed. So unfortunately, the two stats that really didn't get raised at all are, in my opinion, the two most important for this Pokemon in special attack and speed. And the third most important stat is still not very good with special defense. So what do we think of this Pokemon? Stamina with Dragon Steel is a very, very good type combination, and it does still have good stats. It is still going to be a good Pokemon, definitely better than something like Hisui and Gudra, but not even on the level of something like Dialga. Obviously, if it had better Spadef, this mon would be like top tier. Unfortunately, that glaring weakness is massive. It has a really good move pool. I mean, it's kind of like what you expect from Duraludon, right? It maintained body press and iron defense. It's a good mixed attacker now with Swords Dance and access to things like Heavy Slam and, I don't know, Dragon Claw. Does it get Scale Shot? It does not get Scale Shot. That is actually very unfortunate for it. It makes sense. It's a giant bridge. It's got that cool new move, Electro Shot, so it'll be cool in like VGC, I guess, or on rain teams in general. Steel Dragon sounds like it fits perfectly on rain teams. It's not going to really make too many dual typings irrelevant on your team. It gets Stealth Rocks, which is really cool. Still gets Thunder Wave, Meteor Beam. I don't know if I said that already. And has Aura Sphere. And Aura Sphere now I think is massive. It's a good mixed attacker. That's just not as fast and not especially bulky as you want, but it is a physical menace. No type of recovery, unfortunately, but still a very good Pokemon. In my opinion, it's a little worse than I was hoping for. It is still a very good Pokemon, and I think it's going to probably land around the 15-14 point tier is my initial impression. I don't think there's too much of a downside with this Pokemon. Like I said, the biggest downsides are going to be that special defense and that speed stat, but overall in something like Draft League, this would be a good probably second or third option. Pokemon is a Pokemon that I am pleasantly surprised by. I thought this dude was going to be ugly. We've got Hydrael, and I am pleasantly surprised because this is modern Tangrowth. We have Regenerator on this Pokemon with an actual pretty good stat spread. We got 106 HP, 80 attack for some reason. I don't know why they're obsessed with giving not mixed attackers decent attack. 110 defense, 120 special attack, which is fantastic, 80 special defense, and 44 speed. So it's slow. We kind of did expect it to be slow, and it did maintain the grass dragon type. Regenerator is going to be the ability on this Pokemon. In Draft League specifically, obviously Regenerator, one of the most broken abilities in the game. And this Pokemon getting it literally just makes it modern Tangrowth. You still have an AV on this Pokemon. It's got better Spud Def than Tangrowth could ever dream of having, but it still does have a poor defensive typing with Grass Dragon, now 4 times weak to Ice and also weak to Fairy, as well as other dragons even. So defensively, the typing's not very good. However, fantastic ground check. I think it's going to slot perfectly as like a role player on a lot of teams. And in my opinion, it's going to be around 12 points. However, there is a stipulation. It has its moveset, right? I didn't even talk about that. Let's talk about that really quick. It has Plot, Leaf Storm, Giga Drain, like all the stabs you can want Draco. Its stabs are great, and it has Earth Power plus Hydro Pump, which weird coverage. Don't know why it has Hydro Pump, but still good coverage. And specifically, Earth Power allows it to hit steals, and it maintains Recover. No form of momentum's a little bad, but didn't really expect it looking at this Pokemon. It would have definitely appreciated that, but I digress. Its move pool is pretty good. Here's where it gets a little bit dicey though. It has a signature move called Fickle Beam. And this is a dragon move that is 80 base power. That's not crazy. Why would this change things, John? It is 80 base power with a percent chance, we don't know the percentage yet, to go to 160 base power, no drawback. There is no downside of this move other than the fact that it only has 5 PP, I guess. I guess that would be the downside, but people run Draco with only 5/8 PP anyway, so not a big deal. Where my concern comes in is if this move, because it's like if its heads rise up and something, it has 5 heads, right? Or 7 heads. If it is like 10% for each head, because that's how like Game Freak likes to think, and it's like a 50% chance for this to double in power with 0 downside, and you have a base 120 special attack Pokemon spamming a 160 base power move, this Pokemon just immediately becomes much better. If that is the case, and it is a 50 base power move. I think it's like a 15-point Pokemon, probably. I think it goes up that significantly. Based on this move alone, Dragon is super spammable. Even into Steel types, they're not going to appreciate taking a base 160 move. It's like from a 120 base power or 120 base special attack Pokemon. It's a great move. Depending on the percent chance, it might be too good. I don't ever think this Pokemon will be like top tier. Just on simply the typing alone, I don't think it'll ever be top tier, and the lack of momentum. Those are really the two things that are lackluster about this Pokemon. But otherwise, right now, it is literally just modern Tangrowth, 12 points probably, maybe 13, depending on what tier list you are looking at, in my opinion. And if Fickle Beam is broken, it could definitely rise up to like 15, maybe 16. I don't know. I don't think 16. I don't know. The next Pokemon that we're going to talk about is Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt was a Pokemon that coming into this, I was super excited for, and I actually guessed its stats pretty accurately. It is very bulky, faster than everybody expected, and hits harder than most people expected as well, with base 137 special attack. It is a monstrous 125 HP, usable 73 attack for some reason. Why do we keep doing this? 91 defense, 89 speed depth, and 75 speed. Electric Dragon is a very good defensive typing. It is weak to Ground, Fairy, Ice, and Dragon. The downside of this Pokemon is the move pool. The move pool is lackluster on this Pokemon. It's got like 6 moves of note for singles competitive. It's got like Calm Mind, it's got Draco, it's got its new signature move Thunderclap. I think it's called Volt Switch, which is huge on it. Thunderbolt, and then it has things like Taunt as well. And then for specifically Sun teams, the coverage is Solar Beam and Weather Ball, but outside of Sun teams, it has literally no coverage. So this is a Pokemon that is significantly better on Sun teams than it is not on Sun teams, but even on non-Sun teams, it's just like a bulky electric, but it's gonna play weird because it's a bulky electric that doesn't have recovery, and like, it's good, it's got good stats, it will take a hit and do a ton of damage to something. You throw Specs on here, or even take advantage of Booster, and it's going to do a lot of damage because Solar Beam will hit those ground types in the Sun, right? Like, you have a way to hit the Pokemon that wall you. In Sun, this Pokemon is going to be extremely good. It's just the usability outside of Sun holds this Pokemon back, in my opinion, a little bit. I will be keeping a strong eye on this Pokemon because I may be undervaluing it, and I love this Pokemon. And I do think also it's worth noting that it is able to boost speed if it is max Jolly with 24 special attack IVs, but because, this is crazy to say, it's not strong enough to really do this like how Kartana did it in Gen 7. 137 is really good special attack, and it's crazy that I have to say it's just not strong enough in that sense. It's going to miss out on a lot of KOs. I was running some calcs. I think it depends on how you use it. In Sun, it is going to be very, very good. It's going to be very good. I think right now, it's tough to tier. I think it's like 13, 14, 15, somewhere in that range, I think is where this Pokemon lies. Iron Boulder, I don't know what to think of this Pokemon. We're a Rock Psychic type, which is, let's just get it out of the way, right? Like, this is a horrendous typing. Offensively, defensively, this typing is horrible. Rock Psychic is not what this dude needed. I mean, we knew it was coming based on Iron Crown as well as Iron Leaves typings, but it's still just not good. He has decent coverage to hit steals with what he needs with close combat and Earthquake, but now the close combat's not stab, it hits a whole lot less hard. It has base 120 attack and 124 speed, which are good, but its stats overall are like just fine. 90 HP, 120 attack, 80 defense, 68 special attack, 108 speed depth, and 124 speed. There's been very polarizing opinions on this Pokemon so far. Some people say that it's the best Pokemon released in this DLC, which I think is crazy. Some people think this Pokemon is horrendous, which I also think is crazy. I think this Pokemon's fine. I don't think it's going to be as bad as Iron Leaves by any stretch of the imagination. The speed on this Pokemon alone, I think, really helps it. Yeah, the close combats aren't going to hit as hard as you would want on the steel types, and some steel types are just going to be able to wall you, but you're still able to do things like double dance, and you do have necessary coverage to hit certain things that you otherwise wouldn't hit, and your signature move is a 95 base power, 100 accuracy rock move, which is fantastic. That is an awesome move. It also has Taunt, it has double dance. I originally, whenever I first saw this Pokemon and I was looking through on stream with OG Albina, I said that this was 14 points, and I think I stick with that after hearing other people's opinions and weighing them against my own and looking more into calcs and more into what this Pokemon can generally do. I think it's good, not great, but I'm very interested to see how it happens. I'm very wary because everybody was like, oh, Iron Leaves is like 15-point Pokemon, and then it's not. Iron Leaves is very bad. Iron Leaves is horrible because of that typing. That typing, Grass Psychic, is just not very good, at least defensively, and Rock Psychic is amplified in that. Rock Psychic is a lot worse defensively, so I'm very curious to see how this one shakes up. 14 might be way overpaid. It might be a little underpaid because it is still a strong Pokemon with good utilities. So I am very willing to say that I could be completely wrong about this, but I'm sticking him in 14 points currently. Next up, we've got Iron Crown, and this is just Cobalion again. It's not good. It's fine, I guess. You're gonna run some AV sets. The positives of this Pokemon: Steel Psychic is a fantastic typing. Offensively, not great, but with coverage, which it has, it's usable. Defensively, it's fantastic. Steel Psychic is a fantastic defensive typing. Its stats are not exactly what you want from this typing, though. It is very mediocre with 90 HP, only 72 attack, but 100 defense, 122 special attack, 108 special defense, and 98 speed. So it's slower than you would like. It's a little bulkier than you would expect, and it hits hard enough, I guess. It hits harder than Iron Boulder. It's a lot slower. It doesn't do any one thing super well, like it hits specially just fine. It has decent coverage, you know, dual stabs, obviously. It has Focus Blast, which was 100% necessary on a Pokemon like this. It still has Double Dance with Calm Mind and Agility, no Nasty Plot. And the big thing is it has Volt Switch. I think Volt Switch on this Pokemon is huge to get momentum, but it's like the ground types don't really care to switch into this Pokemon because it's just not, like, it's strong, don't get me wrong, but it's not overwhelmingly strong to where I think it's going to 2-hit KO most ground types on switching. It does have some interesting moves like Solar Blade, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sold on Iron Crown. I think it is, bar none, the worst Pokemon introduced in this, but that's not saying that it's bad. I still think it's usable. I think it's a good glue piece Pokemon. Right now, I'm thinking like 11, 12 points. It just seems like a utility Pokemon. Maybe I'm underestimating the special attack. I'm very willing to admit that Iron Boulder and Iron Crown I might be wrong about, but I really don't think this Pokemon is all that. Defensively, he's cool. He's going to see drafts because he's a steel type in a meta that doesn't have a lot of steel types, and he hits hard, but there are some big concerns with this Pokemon. I do think it's worse than Iron Boulder just because of that speed tier, man. Are they comparable? Yeah, sure they're comparable, but I don't know. I don't think Iron Crown is going to be that good. I think it's going to be better than Iron Leaves for sure. I think it's going to be better than Iron Leaves. Still not going to be great. All right, I'm going to briefly talk about Petrarun because this Pokemon's not released yet, so we can't use it. It is the first Pokemon that I've ever seen that can use every single move in its arsenal. It got some moves added, so that might not be entirely true. Like, I don't think it'll ever use Endure, but most of its moves, if not all of its moves, it has some capability of using. It's 88s across the board, 160 defense. Gonna be hard to break. I'm gonna break down some quick things that we said on stream last night that I think still hold true. Yeah, it is a Poison Ghost type, which is fine, I guess, but it has the ability to Mean Look and whittle down other Pokemon with like Curse. Curse recover sets are going to be pretty nice in my opinion to break down opposing steals and open the in-game for your dragons and what have you. I'm not going to say too much else on this Pokemon. We had it in like 12 points. Maybe that was a little high. Maybe it should be 11. It still doesn't have any coverage at all, and it's probably going to be a parting shot bot. But I guess I will talk about this Pokemon when it actually gets released. And then we have two more Pokemon. We have Terapagos. Terapagos is fantastic. The baby immediately turns into the Terramon. We don't know if this uses your Terra or not yet. And that is a big question mark, I think, because if it uses your Terra, it is going to be worse in Draft League. But it's still a good Pokemon nonetheless. It has Mew coverage, but no recovery. So Gen 9 Mew coverage, essentially. One of the best Rapid Spinners we've ever seen. Its ability is broken. It's like multi-scale, but the moves are not very effective. And it has a little bit weaker Boom Burst for its signature move. It's a great Pokemon. If it doesn't take your Terra up, we had it in 16, I think, is a good point for it. 16, 17, because there is no recovery, but it does have access to Rust. So you have to keep that in mind. And that is also me saying that. I don't think it has to hold an item like Ogerpon. If it does, that also changes things. But with the current knowledge that we have, I think this Mon is one of the better Pokemon introduced in this game, as far as Draft League goes at least. I don't really have too much else to say about that Pokemon. It's good, and I think it's easy to see why. And lastly, I saved this one for last because I am unbearably excited for this Pokemon. We have Gouging Fire. I think, bar none, this is the best Pokemon introduced in this game. If you don't include the Ubers, Terapagos, massive, large, big world guy. This Pokemon is Fire Dragon, which is a fantastic typing, in a format where it can run Boots, and it's bulkier than Zard X. This is bulky Zard X with the ability to run an item. You don't have to run Boots. You could run Band, you could run Photosynthesis, you could run Life Orb if you want to, but that's not a good item. And listen, man, he's pretty much got everything that he needs. He has Dragon Dance, which is crazy. He has Scale Shot, and he has Heat Crash. He is very heavy. You're probably going to only need Heat Crash most matchups, but there are going to be some instances where you would rather have Flare Blitz. And in Sun, this Pokemon is going to be unswitchable, switchable. I don't know. The Photosynthesis boost plus the stab on fire moves plus the Sun boost on fire moves. And this Pokemon has Morning Sun. This Pokemon is the best Sun abuser we've ever gotten. I think it's better than Wake for sure. I do think it's better than Wake. And I think it's so cool because it is bulky enough to get off a Dragon Dance almost guaranteed. You will have a very difficult time finding a Pokemon that can break through this. Let's read off his stats. 105 HP, 115 attack, so still very good attack. 121 defense, 65 special attack, 93 special defense, and 91 speed. He's Lando T speed. They did this stat spread correctly. They did not give him useless special attack for no reason. They distributed it as it should be, and I think it's a fantastic Pokemon. I don't think it's like broken. A lot of people are saying ban it, ban it. I think that's just because of new toy syndrome. I do think it's going to be like 16, 17 points, probably leaning more towards 17 right now. It's just a bulkier Zard that can hold an item. And I mean, yeah, it doesn't have Tough Claws, right? But if you're in Sun, it has Photosynthesis, so it has better Tough Claws. Like, this Pokemon is crazy. I am also just astounded by how much I like this Pokemon. I think it's fantastic. He crashed Flare Blitz. It has Earthquake, which Intake could never. And just, like, more times than not, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think it's kind of versatile. The fact that it does lack Will-O-Wisp sucks, and the fact that its signature move is a defensive move, it's Baneful Bunker but Burn, is not ideal for singles. It's fine, it's still usable, don't get me wrong. I like the Pokemon, I love him. In fact, he is going to be kind of one-dimensional in a lot of matchups. He's just going to be fat, get a Dragon Dance off, have Morning Sun, and then the combination of Heat Crash plus either Earthquake or Scale Shot is going to do you good most matchups. It is such a cool Pokemon, and hopefully I cannot wait to use it in whatever meta it's allowed in, OU or Draft League. I cannot wait to try this Pokemon. But let me know what you guys think. I might be overhyping him. Let me know what you guys think of all of the Pokemon and what your favorite one is down below. I am way more excited for these than I thought. I think all of them design-wise actually pass my expectations, except Petrarun. I would rather not look at that Pokemon. And thank you guys so much for watching. And for now, guys, this has been John Jr. signing off.